for your, swift response to our call to this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Mahmoud Chawla, the MC for this program, and we want to welcome the media. We want to welcome the media for coming. It's a privilege having you here to have a tour of the facility so that you will know the progress of the stadium from now on. Today we call you so that we'll be able to have a discussion with you, a press briefing on the state of the stadium, because the works have been ongoing on. We have faced so many challenges, and what the public wants to know is only when stadium will be available for us to play. And today, for you, who are the eyes of the public, you have seen the immense work that have been done at the stadium. If you know the stadium, then and now you will see a total transformation of the stadium. So we'll be able to discuss with you, ask your questions, and any question we'll be prepared to answer, and then give full details of everything. We have the consultant, who is a young Gambian and have done extremely very well in making sure that works are up to standard and they have met international standard. One thing to note is that the stadium, everything is approved for the stadium, apart from the football field. All the competition area is approved by CAF. And we have added other things like the security and safety aspect of it. Those are just additional, because that doesn't stop you from playing football. So we have added everything. If you look at the stadium, you will know that CAF, we are classifying this stadium as a new stadium. And what we have been doing is to rehabilitate the stadium. And we have done that. So on that note, I thank you very much, and then hand you over to the Honorable Minister to give a short speech or a long speech. Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon to everyone that is here. On this side is the General Manager of the Independent Stadium, of course, Mr. Ibrahim Okoli, the Superintendent from the Ministry of Works, who serves as the consultant on behalf of his ministry, and of course all the dignitaries that are here, the DPS, the two DPSs from the ministry, the director, the first vice president of the GFF, the president of the Sport Journalists Association, and our information or communication officer from the ministry, and to all the journalists, the press that are here. Unfortunately, we have violated the rules because now the camera is creating a blockage between us and the journalists. There is a camera platform behind, which is supposed to be for that purpose, which is in the press conference like this, because this is supposed to be the press conference room on match day. And the arrangement was to have a platform. But I mean, you people are already, assemble yourself in this manner. We will leave it as it is. I mean, your colleagues are not complaining. But maybe for the future, just to let you know, what you saw behind is the platform for the camera to there, so that you don't have create a blockage like this. But we are glad to have all of you here. And like the acting director said, and the general manager of the stadium, the idea is to do a press conference initially to take all of you around so that you can see the progress that have been registered so far. From the last time we had a press conference, which was sometime mid of last year or so, up till now, but also to answer to questions that are lingering in the minds of people in relation to anything that has to do with the stadium, be it the work, the progress of work, the audit queries, everything that you want to ask as journalists. We want to be able to give the opportunity to Gambians to understand issues from our perspective and not from the perspective of others. And this is important because we believe that we are getting to the climax of the renovation, and it's important to give updates. So to start with, like I've said earlier, from the time we started this work in January of 2023, when the project was launched, but of course work started in June of 2023, and now we are in January of 2026, which essentially means from the time we launched the project to this month, it will be exactly 3 months, 3 years, but effective work is about 2.5 years. And we've seen people talk about 5 years, and it's important. Yes, we are not trying to deny what people say in terms of what their opinion is, but one thing is clear. We all remember that we played AFCON and qualified here in 2021. So by that time, the stadium was not under any of it. Yes, it was banned, and then there was a temporary renovation that was done, and then CAF gave approval for the AFCON 2021 qualification matches to be played here. So it was after AFCON 2022 in Cameroon that, AFCON 2021 will play in 2022, that the stadium was finally banned alongside other 33 stadiums across the continent. So yes, renovation is about 3 years now, and we've explained the challenges that we faced in the past in terms of not having it budgeted for in the past in the budget, and of course when you don't have a budget you cannot proceed with any kind of work. Secondly, there were a lot of technical requirements, a lot of procurement and administrative processes that we still have to undertake in every stage of the work. But one thing we are certain is that the last CAF inspection focused on the pitch, apart from the fact that they approved everything except the pitch and other recommendations. So today's update, as you see, the pitch is ongoing, and the hybrid will still be, the pitch will still be a hybrid. What you see there is the artificial turf is underneath, and because there was a problem of proper grading because of the lack of equipment that were necessary to do that. And those equipments are now purchased. An expert international company in the name of Gregory has been identified or contracted to do the work as a subcontractor under Gigo Construction, and the Minister of Works continues to be the supervisor and the consultant of the job. So what is there now is the sanding, and sanding is a requirement. Even after the approval of the pitch, occasionally you would have to do sand dressing, you would have to do a seeding to keep the pitch going. That's why you see Mr. Hamza from Gregory showed you the equipment that is necessary for the sanding, so that the equipment you see there is not just for one-off. On occasionally, whether it's every 6 months or something, there would be a requirement that the pitch is sand dressed again, and then fertilizer is continuously applied. That is a normal process on the type of pitches that we have. The other part is the disability platform that we have seen that Mr. Kohli was demonstrating to you with his 2 ramps, and the disability platform is also another requirement of CAF, that in the past, people with disability or those physically challenged would normally come in with their wheelchair and sit around underneath the pavilion. Now that CAF is changing now, that we must have a designated area for them. If a stadium was constructed from the onset, it will normally have it somewhere on top, and they can use the elevator and go up. In stadiums like this, then you have to create a platform for them, and that's also created. The other additions that we have is the CCTV cameras. We had a few, I guess it was about 6 or so. CAF recommended to have more cameras. I think now they're working about 12, is it?
Total is now
14.
40.
Oh, 40, okay. So they're required to have 40 cameras from the initial number that we had. And yeah, so these are primarily some of the works. And then the staircases that you saw, and Mr. Jame did clarify that also in our work, that when CAF inspection came here initially, this was not part of the issues. But later on, in the final safety inspection, they recommended that we need to have this because they have added those as a requirement for new stadiums to have. So this is more like if there is an issue on the stands or there's an emergency, not everybody can exit through the normal route that they came in. Others can be able to use the staircases to come down for easy access to assemble in the middle of the pitch. So these are some of the works that have been going. The roads around the stadium, you have seen them. If you didn't, maybe so those of you who came in later on, you have the opportunity after the press conference to go out there and then take the roads that is being constructed. The one from the NYSS Johnson coming to the Malik Mendy, and then this one from the Battle Harding going towards Bakau Newtown. And of course, the labels are also there. On every corner of the stadium, you would see the stands that is going to point at individuals where they are supposed to go. So when the stadium is ready, tickets will be numbered. As you saw the last time we played with Algeria here, and each ticket would have a zone where you're supposed to go. So when you're coming, no matter where you're coming from, you cannot use any gate to come in. You would have to go to the designated area where you have to come through. So if you're coming, example, you're coming to, let's say, Biri stand, which is the pavilion, the covered pavilion, then you can use the main gate. If you're going towards the other one, which is Omar C, for instance, with now that we're trying to rename them, you would have to go there, and those stands that you see on the corners of the stadium will be what will direct you to come. So these are the upgrades so far that have been happening at the stadium. And to the most important question, when are we going to play here? I did say in my last interview that as far as all things being equal, we hope, we believe that our next AFCON qualifiers will be played here in Banjul, because what is going on from the technical expertise of the Ministry of Works, the stadium staffs, and the Gregory Company, the pitch is expected to complete in about 3 months. Once they do the seeding, it takes about a couple of months for everything to be ready. From the growth, with the period which they have, it's 7 days, 21 days, and then everything grows and they start to treat it and manage it until it is fully grown before they do the first cutting, and after the first cutting, everything should be ready. So which is estimated to be in 3 months' time. That is why we are hopeful that before we start our next AFCON qualifiers, the stadium will be ready and CAF would hopefully be here to give us the required approval. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want to end on the issues of the stadium. On the other part about the audit, because that has been a query, it's important to clarify that as far as we are concerned, there are steps in the process, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Works, have followed all the processes that are required in a normal procurement process for a technical job like this. And that includes the tendering, and inviting companies to bid, and companies bidded. There was a contract committee that reviewed submissions and made a judgment based on the parameters that are set for procurement to be awarded to company A or company B. And the big question is, companies don't have experience in stadiums. We need to be very clear. There is no company in this country, as far as we know, that has experience working on stadium. It doesn't exist, and we all know that. What is required in construction is, if you want something to be done, you can bid and allow for what they call joint venture or partnership in the local, in a normal language. In construction, they call it joint venture, which means you can have one company that focuses on a particular type of work because there is expertise there, in this case, civil works. And then you can partner with another company from another country that has an expertise in a particular area that you do not have expertise in the country. And in the case of the stadium, that is exactly what happened. Be it CFTM or be it JIGO, they do works that they have expertise on. And works where they do not have expertise on, they relied on foreign experts from mostly Turkey, or Turkey they call it, to come and do that. And that includes the pitch, include other works that were done by both companies. And the procurement followed. There is no extension of either what was done in phase 1 or that was what was done in phase 2 also that did not receive the required approval from GPPA. And that's why when we were coming, we decided to bring all of these, because we saw in the audit report, they flagged certain things. They said we proceeded with works that were not approved or did not follow procedure. Now, audit is an office established by law, and the GPPA is equally a national institution established by law. And what we know is that the Gambia Public Procurement Authority is the government agency responsible for approval of all government contracts. And every process that was undertaken had been submitted to the GPPA and approval was received, without which we did not proceed on any work. So that has to be clear. And the audit also flagged a particular amount that I guess was an issue, which they said was a 10 million that was requested in addition. We want to clarify that issue. There was no 10 million that was requested as part of additional works. That 10 million was not even part of the contract agreement. Neither was it part of the works that is being done currently. That was a 10 million that was given by the Ministry of Finance to the stadium in the year 2020 to do certain recommended works to allow Gambia to play our 2021 AFCON qualification matches right here at the stadium. Now, to our surprise, we saw the audit included that in an audit of 2023 and 2024. And we have responded in our management response that that 10 million was not part of the renovation of the current work, and it should be removed from there because they are looking at 2023 and 2024. But people from audit decided that they were going to leave it there. For whatever reason, we cannot tell. I mean, that's something else that we cannot. But like I said, that 10 million was giving way back in 2020. It's a government issue, but I was not even minister at the time. And this is not about me. I'm just clarifying, just to show you that I was the one that initiated the renovation of the stadium, the current renovation. But that 10 million that was being talked about was given in 2020 for other works that some of you remember. Maybe when we played here in 2021, you saw there was a scoreboard there. We saw there were also other works that were done around the stadium. The fence was increased. That was the money that was for that purpose. So these are some of the things that we believe needed clarification on both stadium works and audit queries for the interests of the public. So I want to thank all of you, and I'll stop here. If Koli or okay, nobody wants. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. We'll now throw it back to you. That was the introduction part. I don't know. James said whether long or short. I don't know whether it's long or short. Maybe he will help us. But thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that explicit update on the progress of the work on the stadium and also the audit report. We now invite questions from the journalists here present. We would please want you to introduce yourself and where the media house you are from before you ask your question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sonia Secretary. Honorable, you mentioned audit queries, pretty much on the process. I'm interested in the figures. We've heard different reports, especially online, as to how much has been invested in this renovation works. Would you give us the official figures? We want you to share it with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do we take them individually or in groups?
Take three.
Yeah.
Take three.
Maybe take three and then another response.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Demokili Sonko, freelance journalist. My question is, has CAF conducted any recent inspection in the field? And the second one is, will the stadium be fully be completed with CAF category standards upon completion?
Okay.
And the tracks too.
Or the tracks. All right, thank you. So let me start with the last one, the tracks. The tracks are part of this current phase of renovation, and like someone, Mr. Kohli said earlier on, the expectation is that the container that has the tracks will be arriving here, according to the contractor, on the 10th of February, which is a month from now. And then the installation of the tracks will be done. Of course, by that time, they would have removed the old tracks that are broken and then prepare the ground for the installation of the new tracks. So that's why we are still sticking to the period, because that work will almost commensurate with the period that is needed for the grass to grow and on the pitch. So by the time the grass is fully grown, the tracks hopefully would have been ready, if there is no other issue in terms of maritime and all of that. So yeah, so the tracks are part of it, and that was an additional funding that was secured to be able to ensure that by the time we are done, all of these stadiums will be ready not just for football, but for athletics as well. Yeah, so that's the first. The second one is about will SCAF be able to approve the stadium when it is ready? Well, we believe they will approve it. I mean, we don't have control over what happened to SCAF. As a government and the technical committee, we follow the specifications and the requirements, and all of those specifications are being followed. And the committee consists of the experts in the country, as well as other individuals who are CAF stadium inspectors, CAF security inspectors that are Gambians, that can also reach out to people in CAF to say this is how far we have gone. So we believe that everything would be okay, and the pitch is being done by an internationally recognized company in the name of Gregory, that has a record in Africa, in Senegal, in Cote d'Ivoire, and in some other countries. And we believe that whatever they are going to do here is what is going to be giving approval. And they were also recommended by the CAF consultant, who was sent here to do the final inspection. So that is how far we can say, and we believe that it will be given. But like Mr. Fai said, primarily all the other areas were additions, but the main issue was the pitch, and that's what we are focusing on. How much did we spend on the stadium renovation? We are asked what has been disbursed so far is a $375 million, $376 million so far. But that is not what the work will take. It will be a little bit more than that, because works are ongoing, and things that are not yet done would eventually attract additional cost. Now, why that is, and I think that also gives me an opportunity to clarify this whole issue about, you said this cost, and then later on you said something else. One thing was clear. From the beginning, the work was divided into 3 phases. There was a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And each one of those phases has its own cost. What we were trying to do is to do phase 1 based on what we believe is the amount of money we have. Now, CAF inspection said, no, that phase 1 alone is not enough. You need to bring phase 2 into what you're doing in order to be able to get an approval. And that is what brought about the second additional costing that was added there to be able to get the standard that CAF required. And like I said earlier on, 10 million was given in 2020 to renovate stadium, and then Gambia got approval to play here. So this time around, we wanted to do a more elaborative work, beyond what was done, with the belief that that would have been enough or suffice to get approval, and they said no. So that's why we had to bring in the second phase. But even as we complete the second phase, the lights, for instance, the floodlights are not part of it. The tracks were not initially part of it, and we are now doing the track. So as all of these things being done, you have to still do the floodlights. But that's not something that is required as mandatory, because you can play your matches during the day, and that's what we opted to, not to do the floodlights and then play the game, because CAF wouldn't deny you approval based on those lights from all the information that we got. So 376 is where we are now.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, now that we know how much has been spent so far, it's about $376 million. If I get the figures right, how much is approved?
Approved by who?
Approved to be spent.
I don't. The question is not very clear. I don't understand. I don't understand the money.
Like, SO asked how much has been spent, and I made to understand it was $376 million. Now my question is, how much has been approved so far, altogether, the money that have been approved?
Yeah, that's. No, so if I understand very well, there is not like how much has been approved, because we said we work in phases. So what is giving is what was spent from the initial stage with the initial work, and what we are doing now with these machines that you saw. Those machines are purchased through Gregory from France. It costs money to buy those tractors and all the other equipment that you saw there. The trucks cost money, and everything that you see. So including all of these things, except for the decorative work that was work done by another company from Mali and Senegal at no cost to us. But all the other works are paid for. So how much is approved is what I just said. It's 376 million. If I understand you very well. Whatever is going to come later is not yet approved. We are not even talking about that now for now. We are looking at what will give us approval and not additional works. For instance, there is a field over there where they do training behind. What's it called? The small fields over there. It's not a requirement, but they expected that this field should have a secondary field for training. That also will cost money if we're going to do that, but we are not doing that now. So all of those additional things is out of it. What we are saying now is what we are doing currently, and that is what is approved. By the way, we do not have money lying down somewhere else for us to secure it. We work based on needs and write to the Minister of Finance to say this is what the Minister of Work say this work will cost, and then they release the funds, and then we proceed. And part of the reasons also is because sometimes funding is not available, and we have to wait until when funds are available. I hope I have answered that question. Okay, Bila.
Even the security aspect.
Honorable, I would also like you to clarify the issue of capacity as well, the stadium capacity. We get different figures as well. Because you're maintaining the initial number, or it has been trimmed down due to work that has been done here, maybe also due to safety, and what safety measures will be put in place to ensure that this is observed?
Okay.
11.
I want to know what was the cause of the delay, which company was responsible, if possible, and what was the cause of the delay of the independence area, the renovation work? Which company is responsible or?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Abdullah Dabo from West Africa. Honorable Minister, I know delays, approval can be delayed too. So I would like to know if you have contingency plans in case this time around the approval is also delayed. Thank you.
You mean not granted? Approval not granted. If the approval is not granted,
If it is delayed.
all right. Mr. Nyasi, the capacity of the stadium, of course, dropped down significantly, almost half of what we used to know. Actually, we were told it was a 25,000 capacity, and then when the renovation was done, it came down to about 14,600 with the individual seats. Now, later on, we have to open more spaces to allow for easier access And I'm not very sure what's the exact number as it is now, but then they're estimating at less than 12,000 as it is now. But we would get all of those finalized, I mean, when everything is completed. With the numbering that is currently ongoing, it would give us what exactly is the seat. But 14,600 was the initial number, now it's further down again. So that will be less than half of what used to be at the stadium. And it's not really about security issue. I mean, as in the security of the stadiums in terms of structure, it is because it's individual seats. And then the safety measures of separating, creating access routes in between about 10 seats or so is what has further dropped down the capacity of the stadium. You know, of course, there is a whole area also that is designated for journalists. You know, that the whole area of a pavilion for journalists, which also has further brought things down. So these are the issues that brought it down. Now, do we have contingency plan at the moment? Well, there will always be contingency plan, you know, like we've always had. But the only contingency plan, if you don't get your Senate approved, is to play outside your country. But we are hopeful that we would not get into that situation now. Before the start of next AFCON, certainly the stadium will be ready and Gambia will be able to play its matches here. The delay, he said, which company was responsible for the delay? There was no company responsible for any delay. What we said, or what I said earlier on, is that there are a lot of factors that cause delays. One is procurement processes, that sometimes you have to fulfill certain things before you can get GPA approved for you to move on. Funding sometimes is not available because, as journalists, I'm sure you did not see anywhere in our national budget renovation of stadium. It's not there. So when we need to do certain works, we get the BOQ from the Minister of Works with everything. We take that to finance and go submit it and say this is what Minister of Works requires us to get in order to do what we need to do. And sometimes it can take months before we can be able to get the funding because of the competing priorities that we have. So these are the reasons why the delays happen. Lack of approval, to be fair to the companies, is not about a company issue. It's about what we manage, set ourselves to do, which is less than what CAF wants us to do in order to be able to get a requirement. That's pretty much what is the reason why we are now in our third year of renovation. Hi.
Afternoon. My name is Ida from TTM. So my question basically has to do with the security aspect of the stadium. Because we've seen before when there are matches, people would basically just have access into the stadium, whether they do it by force or not. So we just want to know whether there is adequate security to eradicate these things.
Thank you. My question will go to the Minister. Okay. Some will say, why another stadium? For spending all this money in this stadium here, why we try and build another new stadium somewhere else, apart from depending on this one? My second question is, if you remember last month, there was a land located to the Ministry of Youth and Sport in Lamin for a new stadium. But we see some people came out, allegedly, that land belonged to them. Can you explain to us more on these details?
Okay, my question will go to Mr. Ibufai as on the capacity as the second vice president of the Gambia Football Federation. How has the stadium closure affect the national team, clubs, and even revenue relation to the federation in terms of ticketing when we play at home?
You should have directed that to Bax. Yeah, you want to answer it?
No, Bax will not go answer.
No, it's up to you. You want to explain? Okay, so to start with the the security and the safety. No, like I said earlier on, there has been a lot of open space. Now those seats are normal. If you look at what CAF is asking or has requested, you would have seen a fence that went round the stadium, like the main bowl of the stadium. That fence was never there before. So those chain link fence or wired fence you call it, it's not there. And those are gated. So for one to be able to come in, you need to be able to get through those gates. But even from the entrance, outside, the fence has been increased to a height which is above what it was before. And then you have more gates now. So fences have been broken, and then you create more gates. Now those gates are to ensure that there's a smooth flow of people coming in, and after the match they can go out. But if you come in here, you have a ticket that has a seat number. So if you get in anyhow you want, and then you don't have a ticket, or you don't have a ticket that has a seat number, you would have found somebody sitting on the seat that you want to sit. And if you sit in a seat and you're not able to produce a ticket, and somebody comes in with a proper ticket and say, no, this is my seat, then it means that you entered the stadium illegally, and the security will take you out. So these are some of the measures why seat numbering is important, and anyone who doesn't have a seat or doesn't have a ticket, or your ticket is fake or is fabricated or doesn't have a seat number, then you'll be out. Even if your ticket has a seat number, there'll be a barcode. If they scan the barcode will read to know which ticket among the two is actually the authentic one. So there are a lot of layers that are there to be able to ensure that safety and security is guaranteed. Plus, you have 40 cameras around the stadium. If anybody scale over the fence, the security will catch you, obviously, because there will be a control room where they will be sitting, and they will see everything that is happening inside the stadium, outside the stadium, and even around the fences of the stadium. So those are some of the security requirements, why the cameras were increased from the initial number to what it is now. So that's it. About the people say, why spend this much stadium without building a new stadium? Because the amount that we are using to renovate a stadium, even 20 times that amount cannot build you a new stadium, if we were going to be very clear. Stadium costing, unfortunately, people here just say about stuff without understanding much. The minimum, and this is in the minimum, you can need to build a stadium is $100 million. If you want to build other stadiums, there are stadiums that go up to $200 million, $300 million. And we see that. We have our neighbors here. Their stadiums cost millions, up to 330 million euros, for instance. Other stadiums are 150, $200 million. So that's why I said even if you need in the minimum, you will spend $100 million. Do we have that money at the moment? No, we don't. But we are taking up initiative through bilateral measures and negotiations to look for the option of constructing a second stadium. That's why we got that land. Now, what we spent in the renovation of the stadium, even if you round it up to 400 million, that is about $5 million. $5 million. $5 million cannot build you even a mini stadium, proper mini stadium, not to talk of a proper stadium. So when people say before you spend all this money on the stadium, go and build a new stadium, it's because they don't know how much a stadium costs. If they know, or they even do a little research to know that a stadium costs $100 million, they would not be telling us before you put this money here, go and build a new stadium. We wish we have that. There is no country in Africa that would not want to have a second stadium. But do you know why even the big countries with big economies don't have stadiums or even have only one stadium that's approved? Because it is expensive. Good. And Gambia is a small country with little resources, and I think we all need to be able to accept the fact of our situation and recognize, do research. And that's what I was telling people. Do research. There is no reason telling people you're spending a lot of money at the Independence Stadium. Check how much did Senegal spend on renovation, how much did Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, all these countries. Check how much they spend on the renovation, and you will be able to make a judgment as to whether we are spending a lot of money or not. You know, you people are journalists, we task you to do that. I think pretty much the land allocation. No, Lamin was allocated as a site for a new stadium, but that's a process. Because if you want to go look for support to build a stadium, one thing they will ask you is whether you have the land. If you have the land, do you have the master plan of what you want there? So you needed to have a land to be able to know the land size, the land location, and be able to do the master plan and the design and everything. That's what you now take to go look for the support that you need to build a stadium. And that's what we were doing. So when people see that Ministry of Lands have allocated the land to us, and they make mockery of that, is because of their level of understanding is low. But the reality is, you need to take stages to be able to reach to the final destination, and we are just on stage 1 now. All right, so somebody coming to claim ownership, I don't want to comment on that. I think he has been making claims that he owns everything in Banjulunding and Lamen, and he has a lot of cases in the court. But this is a government land allocated to the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Yes. Concerning the financial aspect, before I go to that, I will just add to the security aspect. Because if you watch our last match in the stadium, that was the Chan match, you can see the security organization of the match. That the 1 mile rule was applied, that nobody have access to the stadium without a ticket. And it will take you at least from the highway to the stadium. You have so many checkpoints to check whether you have a ticket or not. So now to access the stadium will not be that easy. And that was just a trials to see the pilot phase, how it works. And that's how it works internationally. When it comes to the financial aspect, I think we have the GFF representative, Mr. Bakari Jama, who's the first vice president, to come and answer for that. Because I'm here as a stadium manager.
It's okay. Thank you, my colleague. With pleasure. The question is coming from first, Honorable Minister and my colleagues in the technical committee, particularly my able chairman, whom I work well with. I am representing the Gambia Football Federation on the technical committee, and the technical committee is tasked by the ministry and by extension government to ensure that we accompany all other actors in the stadium renovation to meet the standards set for us by CAF. And I am honored to be on the team because myself, I am match commissioner, and I think Minister was referring to people like me who has some inside knowledge of how the now approved CAF. If you allow me, I would also like to step back a bit before I come to the substantive question, that we have to understand that following COVID and many other factors, improving spectator convenience and many other requirements, we are facing a completely new phenomenon. And I think that has taken a lot of African countries particularly and other places aback, that their stadiums are not allowed to host certain categories, in our case category A. So I think it's important that people know that. So the works that are going on is to meet the criteria set by CAF and by extension FIFA. And this is what Gambia has been trying to achieve in the best possible cost and the best possible time. I know that this has impacted everybody, all of us, government and the people, particularly the overall football family. Coming to the question about the impact on the Gambia Football Federation, I would even expand it. This has impacted the government, by extension every taxpayer, because we have to play home away from home. And if you look at the cost structure in some instances, it's really what you call maybe a double whammy. First, you will agree with me that it closes completely your income stream. If you're playing away from home, even next door Senegal, you have the least funds, you cannot have any other local sponsorship to come in. But more importantly, we at the Federation, and certainly by our main sponsor for the national teams. Here mainly we're talking about the A national team. We'll have to listen to the technical team where the match should be played, because the FIFA windows for matches are very short. In some cases, it's not more than 8 days. And you have to play 2 games. So it means if there is an away game for you, you have to try to play your home game in a place that is easier to move on to, rather than spending a whole day or 2 for a country like us that will have to take scheduled flights. We don't have ability to travel by charter flight. So it means you have to move closer. So in the instance, the travel cost will be higher, and you have to hire hotels maybe at a higher rate twice, and also the match organizational cost, because you have to hire, except for Morocco that we have a bilateral, you have to hire stadium and all the other related costs like security, protocol, etc. That is why the average cost for one match, one window sometimes, goes up to about $30 million, which is a significant amount. Over the past 3 years that we are mainly not playing here, I mean, we can all do the math, we have played a lot of international matches. By our count recently, I think for the 2025 calendar year, we did about 9 matches or more. If you multiply that by nearly 30 million, that gives you about 270 million. If you put that into dollar terms, you can see. So this has not only impacted the finances. I know that many of us witnessed at the last AGM, the president of the Sports Journalists Association, who is also part of the football family, was there, that you can see that the debt of the federation over the past few years has increased, mainly because of that pressure, among other things, and also by the extension, because as reported, the contribution of the government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Youth and Sport has significantly increased to the senior national team male, but still it didn't solve the problem. And I had said in my intervention, looking forward, it's going to be better because we know that we are going to come and play home that reduces the cost and brings in revenue. So we are all very, very excited, and we are happy that the personal commitment of our Honorable Minister and everybody in his ministry and the government by putting in funds to this project, and hopefully there is really good light at the end of the tunnel. Let me add as well. I have, as a match commissioner, the CAF and FIFA match commissioner, the key component of our work is a stadium report that really ticks what is required. And then going around and being part of the committee and going around by all of us, we can see what the Gambia has done is a little bit even over major countries over the period of time. It's true, both in terms of safety of players, the separation of players and officials from spectators, both in terms of the safety and the convenience of players in their dressing room and coming out to the mixed zone. You can see it's been widened. There's a science behind it, because the flag boys have to come and the teams have to file in the countdown. We've also seen the second most important stage, which is the press. You can see that you have quite a wide place, not only for this press conference room, but also a space for you, and the VVIPs, and more importantly, I think we had even had a discussion. Do we really? My colleague Mr. Mbai is here, but the minister was adamant that the new safety features that my colleague was saying will not stop us from playing here. But the minister was adamant that we have to do it. in this phase, which really I think is a brave man. It takes a lot of stick for it, and this has added to the delay in certain way. But certainly, I think the Gambia is going to start its own AFCON qualifiers in the month of July. Correct me if I'm wrong. June, sorry. Hopefully June. And we have about 5 months to that. And then knowing the works that should be done, we will be able to achieve that. And hopefully we are all going to go, and football is expensive, but we'll be getting our financial exposure will be less, both in terms of government and the Gambia Football Federation. Thank you. Oh yes, you did mention. Certainly we have seen when we went around that there is provision for the clubs. So clubs are to play here. But clubs lacking playing in the national stadium do impact, because if you play here, there will be more spectators. And then there is an income sharing agreement now in place, so that means they will have more people to see here, and the facilities is better in here, so it impacts also the clubs as well, like the national. So it impacts everybody in the football family. But like I said, hopefully in the next few months, that will be a thing of the past. Thank you. Mr. If I come back to yours. Yeah. Around my minister, yes.
Minister, I will take you back to on the progress and timeline of the renovation. Based on what you have seen today, how much progress you have done so far in percentage terms? And my second question is, when is the expected completion date for the renovation or correction work? And the third question is the timeline which aligns with the CAF competition calendar, particularly in the upcoming international fixtures? Thank you.
All right, okay, so, one thing I've said that sometimes people use that and quote and said, well, you said this. And we always say, yes, we will say it because that is what is on paper. Now, what is written on the document is completely different from the actuals. You would have delays that you never anticipate based on finance, based on maritime issues. Like, even the last container that came, the time they told us the container was going to arrive, it took an additional 1 week before it arrived. It spent a little bit of time at the ports before it was cleared. So these are all things that factor in. Currently, we are discussing about some delays that we are also experiencing in quite a number of issues that are not controlled by us. So that's why I will not be able to tell you that the stadium will be ready at this time. What I know is that it is expected to be completed by the end of March. If everything is equal, we believe that by end of March, work will be completed. But the generality of it is that before our first AFCON match, we would have been able to finish up with everything and get CAF approval. I think that is what we can say. How far we have gone, you all went with us around. Everything that you see here is complete. What we are now trying to complete is the pitch and the running tracks. And the contractor already told you that from the seeding to the final work is about 3 months. So we're in mid-January, which essentially means maybe mid of April. But from end of March, we will say. But, I don't want to, I'm trying to be careful about what I say. But one thing I know is that before our first AFCON match, we will be ready with the stadium. I think that's and the guarantee is there that we will be able to get CAF approval. Of course. All right. So I think that's it. So the Vice President was reminding us that even though AFCON qualifier starts with a preliminary, But Gambia's stage has gone above that now. So in the next AFCON qualifiers, we are certainly not going to be playing any preliminaries. We will get into the group stage proper, so which is an advantage for us, and maybe blessings also. Yeah, but pretty much, I think this is where they said the last question was. Well, I don't know whether Lama wants to check.
This is more of a suggestion than a question.
Okay.
Because the camera platforms should be there where platforms are.
Yeah.
But because there is no socket part for the sound system, I think this one should have to move to back. That platform.
Is that cool?
The table there. So whenever or after here, perhaps whoever is responsible could discuss it. The sound system so that
Okay.
generate sound from that platform.
Okay, so he's saying that box there, the black one there, is the sound box. So they will move it over there when the time comes. Yeah. It's currently here, so they will have to move it over there so that your cameras will be there instead of being here. All right, but it's already catered for. All right.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
Go outside.
Yes.
The president did mention it all the time. We were on phone. And I remember Carl, he mentioned it all the time. Are you hopeful it will also be completed by the time this one is done?
Yeah, no, those people said they would be done by the end of this month, January. So they are even ahead of us. According to them, they will be getting out of here by the 1st of February. Yeah, that's what they said. So that means that 31st of January, roadworks will be completed. That is what we were told when the president came here. All right? All right. Okay, thank you. I think this is where we draw the curtain. Once again, we want to thank you for the time that you people made to be here. And we look forward to more engagements in the future on both the stadium, but also maybe other issues relating to sports and youth in general. Thank you.
We want to recognize the presence of the Executive Director of the PIA and also the Executive Director of the National Youth Council who came in just recently. Thank you very much for coming. Can we please pray before we...
Dunia mwenye kuvulo leti Kunyi makele ani kuja uke Lona duko na kundi bade nyindula banke Nanyo susu ndi kunyi maluka Kanyo fada ndi kuja ulula Ani nga kunyi malu mutao Hakilo de kasi muluma Hakili nyimba de kafwe anyimake Hakili jauko ya jaumake Atutendele bunde mengela Barikali dankene ya dingine na Ala benyo ya te baida Nga korosi fanang Sinyo kunda badi kunda tanyo kunda Ike da kundu nyol Ayatara iman fenjo de mumi Nimbe na jamano kane Mune jare da nyina Ugendo wida dauda Aninga nyeda banana munini Yo hodye mare ado fongola ate mu manza hina keledi tombia sina hinera bani yake nyondola ko dudu mamfea akandi ngaba akolu mume bebe kidina akandi ngaba akolu mume oyo bebe kidina eyo abebe kidina sinyo hako tanyo hako akolu mume bebe kidina ani dunia bela tamena memu kolodi kolo hako bebe kidina mojama hako bebe kidina ani ngakilo dingitula duno wotai you bebe kidina Abalu mume duna wana bebe kidina dunia mwenye kuvulo ledi unyi makele ani kuja uke lonna duko na kundi bade nyindula banke nganyo susu ndi kunyi maluka kanyo fada ndi kuja ulula ani nga kunyi malu mutao akilo de kasi moluma hakili nyimbale kafwe anyimake hakili jawko ya jawmake atutendele bume menkela bari ngali dankene yandi nyine na ala benyo ya te baida